want to thank everyone for coming on a Tuesday morning. We are here in the Northeast Heights, and we're going to talk just really a brief update on what we've been doing with respect to demolishing problem houses in our city. And we're highlighting this one for a couple of reasons, and we'll speak to that. But I think first and foremost, when we came into our administration, the challenge of dilapidated houses like this was really on hold. There were very few houses that we actually tore down. And we do know that in rare cases, but unfortunately in our city, many times, we do actually have to tear down the building. And that's what we're doing here today. And we started that process back up when we came in to office, but then of course during the pandemic we put it all on hold for a number of reasons. Public health being the first one, but also delays in the courts and things of this nature. And so we wanted to take the opportunity of this particular building to highlight the fact that this program is fully up and running again. And so just in the last year, roughly since 2022, we have raised more than 32 buildings. And so that's the highest number we've ever done. And it's not something that is necessarily, it's not a number that we're proud of because it reflects broader problems in our community. We know that. But we also know, look, when they get this bad, we will tear them down. So we also want to remind all the landowners who are letting dilapidated properties like this happen. Now, each property is a different story, but we will go to the full extent to eventually tear down your property. Now, we heard from neighbors that this one has been like this roughly for 20 plus years. It obviously has gotten worse. There was actually somebody sleeping in here this morning. Fortunately, we were able to try and connect them with services, which is the whole point. But we also know that these buildings are being burnt down all the time by squatters. So it's a safety hazard for them, but also, of course, for the neighbors. And so this is a timely demolition even this morning. Now, in the last 12 months, this particular building has had 54 APD calls. It's had 7 fire calls, and it's been boarded up 10 times. So this is the other issue. First the city boards it up, we try and secure properties, but at some point, if we cannot secure the property and the owner can't secure the property, then we have to resort to things like demolition. So with that, we also want to remind everyone that there is now a bill down at council that would strengthen our ability to do this at a faster pace. It should not take 20 years to deal with a building like this. And usually it actually only takes 3 years. That is still too long. We need to get that down to about a year, maybe a year and a half, a reasonable amount of time to give people the opportunity to fix up a property. And so that nuisance abatement ordinance changes are now down at council, and hopefully those will pass. So with that, I just want to remind folks that this program, again, fully up and running. There is a huge backlog, but we are working it. And in due time and with legal appropriateness, if it's what we need to do, we will tear down dilapidated buildings. So with a little bit more on this property, let's hear from our Director of the Planning Department, Alan Varela. Alan?
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor was saying, our rescue services and such have been out here quite a few times. When you add it all together, including code enforcement, it's approximately 100 times. That's a huge, frankly, waste of city resources when we have property owners who can make the choice of taking care of their properties. That's really what we want, is for them to keep them on the market to provide good housing for people. But when it goes too far, then we've had enough and we have to come in and take this sort of action. So this property will be coming down today. That'll clear the way for future development, hopefully by somebody who purchases the lot and builds another house here, so that we can provide more housing for people here in Albuquerque. But that's our goal, clearing the way for progress and for good housing here in Albuquerque. Thank you.
Okay, any questions on this?
What do you know about the owner?
A little backstory?
Good morning, Angelo Metzger with Code Enforcement. I'm the Code Compliance Manager. The owner, we have not been able to contact for a number of years. They kind of abandoned the property. So unfortunately, they just have not been responsive to any kind of contact or any kind of pressure that we've been trying to put on them to even contact us to bring this property into compliance.